Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending upon where you have joined from. My name is Satya Ramesh, and I will be the host for you for the next 1 hour. And today we have a webinar on SQL Server Performance Tuning by Denis Reznik. And before handing it over to Denis, I have a few moments. I'll just explain about who we are and what do we do. So long back in the year 2004, a small group in Calcutta started meeting together and started discussing SQL Server related topics and other technologies. So this is where our first small user group meeting had happened, just starting with 7 people. And then from there onwards, slowly started growing up. And in the year 2010, it formally became a community called SQLServerGeeks.com. So in the year 2010, we formally announced SQLServerGeeks.com, where we used to blog, organize free events, free webinars, and use group meetings, etc. And in the year 2015, we organized first SQL conference from Asia, that is SQL Server Geeks Annual Summit 2015. And then onwards, every year we are doing this summit. In the year 2016 also we are done. And from the year 2017 onwards, we have also rebranded ourselves as dataplatformgeeks.com. From the year 2017 onwards, SQL Server Geeks Annual Summit has been rebranded as Data Platform Summit. And it continued from 2018, 2019, and then from 2020 onwards, it became virtual because of the obvious reasons, because of the pandemic. And then we continued doing virtual in 2019 also, 21 also. And then this year also we are going virtual. So this is one picture we cherish. This is one of the pictures that we really cherish, which is a picture from 2019 Data Platform Summit. Just after the keynote, you can see the corporate vice president that time, who is Gail Shepherd, waving her hand. So this picture is really valuable to us. From 7 people from that picture to hosting more than 1,000 people, Data Platform Summit have become a huge conference when it comes to data and analytics. So this is where we are right now with the numbers. And slowly people started joining from various countries. You can see all these country speakers traveling down from all these countries. And at this moment, there are DPS 2022 is also announced. So this moment, these are the people, top 20 countries, participation from top 20 countries. So as I was telling you, Data Platform Virtual Summit 2022 is also announced. It is happening in this September, starting from September 19 to September 23. And the good news for all of you is it is free for everyone to join. All of you, whoever joined this webinar today, can just go to dataplatformvirtualsummit.com and register yourself for free. That is the biggest news for all of you. And we have also announced pre-conference training classes, which are 8-hour trainings. We have also announced close to 12 8-hour training classes. These are the classes. Dave is doing a session, 8-hour training on Azure Synapse Analytics and Power BI. Jason is doing something on Master's Passport to extended events, that is related to SQL Server. And Milos is doing something on Query Store. And Thomas is doing something on Spark for data engineers. And we have Marcus doing something on Power BI. It is from zero to hero, data modeling in Power BI. And we have Nicola doing Power BI performance tuning. We have Desan doing advanced analytics with Transact SQL. And we have Denis Torres, who is taking an 8-hour class on ETL to cloud using Data Factory. And we have also a few more classes and a performance tuning magic show by Guy Glanster. And today's speaker, Denis Reznik, is also taking an 8-hour virtual class on SQL Server performance tuning and troubleshooting. And finally, Ben Miller is taking an 8-hour class on PowerShell for DBA tools. So if you are attending this webinar, friends, and if you wish to register for any of this event, any of this class, there is a special discount code exclusively for you, 60 STILT. You'll get 60% discount if you use that particular code that is only shared with attendees of the webinars. So Our speaker today is doing an 8-hour class on SQL Server performance tuning and troubleshooting. Today is a kind of small demo. You can think of it as a demo. And yes, still you can learn a lot of stuff from 1-hour webinar. And the price of the classes are very, very less. At this moment, you can get 8-hour training class only for $220. And the good thing about Data Platform Virtual Summit is you get to keep recordings also. So you get 12 months streaming access for the training class record. There's no conference in the earth doing this other than Data Platform Summit. And coming to Data Platform Virtual Summit, regular summit is happening this time as multiple editions. We have ANZ edition, we have APAC edition, IST edition, EMEA edition, and the Americas edition. So 5 editions, you can register for all 5 editions for free. You can attend any of the edition, no problem. Depending upon your convenient time, you can attend any edition. And of course, you get the recordings of the sessions as well for free. And this time we are bringing the multilingual content to you just to improve our language diversity. We are bringing content other than English, for example, like Ukrainian, Serbian, Slovenian, German, Portuguese, Italian, French, etc. So we are bringing, it's a first step for us. You can able to learn your favorite technology in your own language. And we are focusing a special track on SQL Server 2022. If you attend Data Platform Virtual Summit, SQL Server 2022 will be on focus. It is yet to be released. Maybe this year end, we will get to see the preview of SQL Server 2022. I mean, general availability. We have a special focus from Microsoft product team members themselves. They're doing a lot of sessions on SQL Server 2022. And of course, we have already released close to 200 sessions. You can go to dataplatformvirtualsummit.com and browse all the sessions. All the sessions, if you register for Data Platform Virtual Summit, you can able to attend live. And of course, you can able to keep the recordings as well for streaming access. So a lot of technologies are being covered, friends. SQL Server, Power BI, Azure Synapse Analytics, Cosmos DB, Arc-enabled SQL services, Azure SQL, and migration. Lot of things are being covered as part of Data Platform Summit. It's for everyone: data architects, database administrators, database developers, anyone who is working with data can attend this summit and can get benefited. And if you are a company who wish to participate and in a knowledge partner, participate and become a knowledge partner for Data Platform Virtual Summit, please go ahead and browse dataplatformvirtualsummit.com. We will go to a KP section where you can find all the details, and you can write to us if you have any questions at kp@dataplatformgeeks.com. So friends, evaluate Data Platform Summit. The URL is there. Go and register for free. Share with your friends, colleagues in your office. All of you can come and join us for free. So bookings are open. And we special thanks to Microsoft for supporting us in our community efforts, be it SQL Server Geeks, be it Data Platform Summit, be it Data Platform Geeks. Microsoft is always supporting us. So there are some links here, friends. Sorry. Excuse me. Please excuse me, no problem. These things happen. Yeah. Let me quickly forward. Yeah, these are the few links where you can follow us. We are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube as well. All our webinars will be recorded and we will host all of them in our YouTube channel. So these are the YouTube channels where you can learn a lot of SQL stuff. We are on Telegram, we are on LinkedIn, a lot of places. And quick housekeeping announcement, friends. You all know by this time, but still a quick announcement. Please use Q&A panel to ask questions, and we will answer all the questions at the end of the session. If you have any audio video issues, please try to rejoin. You will be able to get the issues fixed. And important thing is, please wait till the end. We will share you the feedback link. That is very important for all of us. So with this, friends, without any further delay, I'll hand over the stage to Denis. Denis, please take on.
Hi, everyone. I am glad to see you on this webinar. Let me share my screen. That's it. I will remove Zoom controls a bit. Okay. So the topic of today's webinar is performance tuning and troubleshooting. And we will try to see a lot and try a lot in this hour. So this webinar should give you a flavor of performance tuning and troubleshooting, how it can be done, at which angles we should look at the data and analyze the performance data, and what we can do with that data. My name is Denis Reznik. I'm from Kyiv, Ukraine. I'm working in company in TAP as a data architect, and I'm holding status of Microsoft Data Platform MVP. That's all about me. Now let's go to the presentation. Performance tuning and troubleshooting. For me, it looks more or less like this. To do performance tuning and troubleshooting, we need to collect some data on which we will base our analysis and do some optimizations. So for this, we are using extended events, performance counters, DMVs, query store, and many other sources like logs, application logs, SQL Server logs, and so on. Even user experience and these messages to you can be a source, and it is really a good source for performance tuning. Second, we analyze this data. We analyze query itself and find if the root cause is in the query, system resources, configuration, hardware, OS configurations, and so on. And at the last stage, we do optimization. We do performance tuning. We optimize queries, we tune server configuration, application maybe, scale hardware, and so on. So that's how it looks like, and this is what we're going to do in this webinar. We will check first case I call issue is reproducible. When issue is known, the client can reproduce the issue, and this gives you a lot of chances to find the root cause very quickly. Second one, issue is sporadic. So a client is telling you that issue is happening from time to time, query is timing out from time to time, or query is running long time, and we need to find this as well. Third one, no issue at all. It looks pretty good, but at the same time, like users cannot track this issue as an issue. But you know that if query is executing for more than 1 second, for example, this is an issue and you need to tune it proactively. This is some kind of proactive tuning. And the last case will be about tricky issue. Issue when you usually should call Microsoft support, and we will quickly check what we can do by ourselves. Maybe we can do something with that. Okay, and that's almost all of my slides. We are going to the demo. Okay. First demo will be, honestly, this is my demos. And so the demo called issue is reproducible. So client can reproduce the issue, and you can ask client to run to execute some operation on the website or in the product, and check the database at the same time. So we can quickly see what is happening on the server right now and troubleshoot that issue. I'm running my workload, and now I'm going to the issue investigation. When the issue is reproducible and you can be sure that it's happening right now, probably the best way and the quickest way to start is to track currently executed queries with dmexec requests and get their text with dmexec SQL text and query plan with dmexec query plan. Let's check what is happening on the server right now. Right now, one query is running. Probably it is the root cause. It's using my database, Stack Overflow. Yes, and it's taking data from post table, answers, like in Stack Overflow, they store post and questions and answers in the same table, posts with different type. It means post type ID. Equal to means answer, and equal 1 means question. Okay, what I see from here, my query is in suspended state. which means that it's waiting for something. Wait type is 6 packet. For multi-threaded query, this is fine. Wait time is pretty high, 29 seconds. And where is CPU time? Total elapsed time. Duration is 29 seconds at this point. CPU time is 23 seconds at this point, which means that this query is probably pretty heavy. Let's try to do something with it. We have query text, and we can get the query plan. From the query plan, we see at the beginning that SQL Server suggests us to create an index. This can be a good suggestion, or it might be a bad suggestion. We have to try that. Okay, what I propose to do here, we can go to the properties and get the parameter list. And you see that this query was compiled with this user ID, 31302 something. Let me copy it, and I will paste it to my query. Here we go. Where is user ID? Over here. And over here. What this query is doing, it's counting the rate of posts of specific user, and this user should be me. Well, let me use Stack Overflow database. And so this is me in Stack Overflow database. And let's check what is the acceptance rate for my answers I gave on Stack Overflow. It's taken a while. Let me include query plan and execution statistics to track if we really need that index. So where SQL Server is spending most time? Looks like it's over here. Clustered scan of the table posts. Yes. And it's looking for accepted answer ID. And it really looks like that this index, which SQL Server suggests us, missing index details, is really good for this query. And it will remove that clustered index scan. So let's create this index. Okay. It will take about 1.5 minutes. And this is a natural delay where you can ask your questions if you have some. After it will finish, we will run this query again and check if this index helped. This is an estimated plan, and you see how many rows SQL Server is trying to read here. And this is the actual plan where we run our query. And let's see, it's pretty accurate. We read all these rows, but then only 15 rows used after join to the questions. Okay, the index was created. Let's try to execute this query again. Previously, it took 22 seconds to execute. If I will execute it right now, the execution time is less than 1 millisecond. less than 1 second, which is pretty good. If we go to the messages, for every query in my management studio, I set an option over here. Query options, advanced, set statistics time, and set statistics IO. So all queries I'm running in my management studio will give me these statistics on messages tab. And you see right now the query execution time is 28 milliseconds, with less than 1 millisecond CPU time, which is really, really good. So we did an optimization, and the tool we used to get the root cause of the issue is DMV sysdm exec requests. If issue is known, if it is reproducible, we can ask client to run the operation and check the database while it's running. We can quickly identify the query, which is causing the problem. The only one thing, important thing, which we can't see in DM exec request is the current parameters. For that, we will need to use extended events. I will show it later in the presentation. But at the same time, if the issue is known, you can ask user which parameters was used during this execution. So you can substitute these parameters, put these parameters into the query, and validate the issue as is. Okay. Now we are going to the questions. Denis, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. How I could answer this question? Okay. Okay, I hope I answered the question. Second case, issue is sporadic. So if issue is happening from time to time, we can't sit on site and click the refresh button to get the actual query. We need some mechanism to track the queries all day long. And I see the question in the chat how to handle parameter sniffing. I will show it a bit later. It will be a part of this session. I will not explain it in advance, but we will take a look at the parameter sniffing, what it is, and how to handle it a bit. Okay. So, and in this case, I need some tool to run the monitoring all day long. Previously, in the old SQL Server version, we use Profiler. Right now, I recommend using extended events, and I'm using them a lot. So let's create session. New session. DPS queries. As a template, I'm choosing query batch tracking. It gives me the smallest set of information which is available for monitoring long-running queries. I don't need error reported, but I need RPC completed, which means storage procedure execution, and SQL batch completed, which means ad hoc queries execution. Okay. If I can limit the queries tracked at the beginning, like I know in which database we have problems, I know that small queries are not causing the problems. Maybe I will start with, I usually start with monitoring long-running queries. And then later, if I will have evidences that big amount of small queries causing the problems, I monitor them as well. But at the beginning, I'm trying to reduce the surface to the most important parts to try to quickly find the issue. If it can't be quickly identified, then we extend the surface and track more areas and more queries. Okay. By default, it's filtering out system databases and system queries. And now I would like to put a filter on duration. Duration should be greater or equal. I put 1 second here. It's very important. You see, I'm writing I'm inputting here too many zeros, because for this event, time is tracking in microseconds. And to be accurate, this will be 1 second. As a data source, I'm choosing event file. Okay, because default ring buffer is holding holding events in memory and put them out from time to time. It's like ring buffer is close, and when it's full, events are thrown out. If we are putting data to the files, it can be very big, and you can create several files. By default, it creates 5 of maximum size 1 GB. Okay. And also, if the issue is sporadic, I also think that the issue might be in the weights area. So it's worth monitoring weights as well. Let me put weight info, DPS, weights. Okay. And as an event, I will choose weight info. Okay, let's put it here. Data storage will be file. And again, I would like to filter weights by duration. By duration, it should be, let's say, bigger than 100 milliseconds. That's important to always look here in the description, because different events will have different measurement for duration and for other parameters. So this weight is measuring duration in milliseconds. Okay. Also, I would like to correlate the data of my queries with weights. I would like to track session ID as well. Here we go, collect session ID. And now I'm ready to start these 2 sessions. And now they are collecting information into the files. And I'm starting workload. It will run several queries, and I will switch to the Q&A during this natural delay. How to hold parameter sniffing? It will be answered soon. In situation where you join, the client complains about a table which turns out to be a heap without a primary key, thus no unique column. You have no idea how this table is being queried. What do you do in order to make decision which index number of rows? 2.9 million rows. I would say that in this case, you can run again extended event session and then filter out by batch text or statement for the queries which are using that table and make a decision based on that. But it will take some time to do this. Second approach, which I can see so far, is to query this view. DM exec cached plans. By the query handle, plan handle, you can get the actual query plan as an XML, and you can scan that in a single query. And you can find the query plans which references your table. So that can be another source of how to identify which queries are doing the operations with the table. But at the same time, you can't be 100% sure that your important query, which is using the table, is in the cache right now. And also, when you run an extended events, you can't be sure that all queries fall into that time range which you monitored with extended events. So all approaches are approximate, but it's pretty good to use. And maybe, if the logic of application is based a lot on functions, procedures, views, you can try to check sys comments where text like, and put your keyword over here, like, let's say location. And it will give me the names of my procedures, triggers, views, which use this field. You can input here table name and check that as well. That will work for stored objects. Okay, our workload finished. Let me stop both extended event session and let's check what we collected there, what we have found. There are only 4 events which exceed 1 second execution time interval. And let me add more columns here. Which columns are important? Almost all of them, but for first time troubleshooting, I usually add CPU time, duration, which is actual query execution time, logical reads, how many data pages this query read during the execution. Each data page holds 8 kilobytes of data. Physical reads, it's pretty important as well. It's reading from disk. Logical reads is reading from memory, and physical disks is where SQL Server needs to take data from disk, not only from memory. Result, which will give us an information if this query was executed successfully, if it was timed out, if there were some errors. Row count. Row count is also pretty important, like CPU and duration. When you see on these two values, if duration is very high, CPU is very low, it means that the main problem is in the waits area. This query is waiting more time than it's executing actually. Logical reads and row count. If you see enormous amount of logical reads but pretty small row count, maybe it's fine, but this is definitely an marker to check if these queries really need to read that many pages to return that many rows, that small amount of rows. Okay, then statement and batch text. These two columns contains our SQL query. Okay, let me extend this a bit. And we have 3 pretty complex and pretty big queries. This one we will check in next demo, so I will omit it here. But we have several more. And now having this data, we can talk to client and ask, okay, I see that the heavy queries were executed during this time, in this time frame. Maybe you experienced an issue here at this point of time. So also you can just take these queries and try to optimize them. These should be, there is a big chance that they will be the root cause. Okay, in this demo, let's take one of them and try to optimize. Let's take this one. Okay. That's interesting. It's the same query we used in previous demo, yes, but it's a bit different. Let me include query plan and run its execution. No table post because we are not in Stack Overflow database. Okay. And now this query was executed for 3 seconds. CPU time was 5 seconds, let's say. Right now I executed in Management Studio and I see that execution time is 500 milliseconds and CPU time 1.6 seconds, which is much smaller from what we see in the extended events. Let's check if this query waited for something. So session ID is 119, and let's filter waiting for by session ID. Choose columns, the wait type and duration. Okay. Okay. I can do it quickly by this. Where is this? Filter by this value. And I put my session ID 119. Okay. What we have here The biggest weight is CX packet, which means waiting for, in parallel query, threads are waiting for each other to finish. It means that this query might have inefficient parallelism. Again, it's telling us that we should create an index. Maybe we will, maybe not, but let's check one more parameter here. If I will go to the parameter list, that's not what I expect, honestly. Okay. What happened now? Try. No. No, it's not the case. My query plan was flushed from the cache. So we waited for too much time to do this. Let me go to the preparation. So I will modify the query a bit. I will add white space, which will force SQL Server to compile this query again. Then I will run it several times with my previous parameter, which is my user ID. And then I will run it with a new parameter, new user ID. And you see that it took 1.3 seconds CPU time and execution time. If we will go to the properties, you will see that parameter compiled value is this one, but runtime value is different. And that is why it's choosing not the plan which is efficient for this query. This case is known as parameter sniffing. When SQL Server compile query, it compile it with the parameter based on the parameter value we use for the first run. So if I pass user ID, this one, it's good to show the distribution statistics. Select owner user ID count star from posts where owner user ID in. Let me put these two values. It will count all the answers and questions for these users and will give us this information by owner user ID and order by count. Okay. Let's say I have only 40 questions and answers altogether, and the user with this ID has much more. So the query plan compiled for my query for this parameter will expect that the user has only 40 rows, and the query plan will be compiled with this assumption. It will be efficient for taking small amount of data. But second user has 85,000 rows in the table, and the query plan compiled for this one will not be efficient for this one because we have this data difference, data skew. What we can do in this case, if we found that query is really inefficient, the easiest and the fastest way will be adding option recompile. Now this query will be recompiled on each run. And statistics, you see that CPU time is a bit bigger, 1.6, because right now this query is parallel, but the elapsed time is twice smaller, is almost half second. And the query plan looks a bit different now. Okay, then we can go further. We can consider adding indexes, but the initial optimization we need to do is to avoid parameter sniffing. Okay, there are several other ways, but this one is the easiest and the fastest to put hint option recompile. Maybe you can ask yourself how heavy this compilation will be. Will application and query suffer from this compilation? This is the answer to your question. For this particular query, compilation time is 7 milliseconds. Yes, and if these 7 milliseconds will matters, it can be not 7 milliseconds, it can be 100, 200, even several seconds. Then it's not a good option to use option recompile. But if it is small, if it's few milliseconds, so that should be fine. That should not cause any issue. Okay. Let me switch to Q&A. Question: in a situation where you joined a client, okay, I probably done with this. That was previous one. Thank you. Okay. Now we check how we can deal with sporadic issues. We should track we should collect the trace, ideally with extended events, and find the heavy queries, and that points will be our points of optimization. And second one, and third demo will be no issues at all. What do I mean here? You don't have any tickets from client, system is working, but this is the chance to do a proactive performance tuning and troubleshooting. So I will keep my extended event session because we still need to collect queries data. And also I would use the tool which called performance counters. So when you have time, when you don't know the issue root cause, ideally you should run extended events and performance counters as well. Let me open performance monitor. I'm going to data collector set and I'm creating user defined data collector set. Let's call it DPS webinar. Okay. As a source, I choose just performance counters. That's all what we need. Sample interval. Usually in production, I use 5 seconds, but for fine tracking, you going down, down, down till 1 second. So in my demo, 1 second will be good because I am not handling 2 big workloads on my laptop. Now counters. Right now, I will add very small amount of counters to be in time for this session, but usually at the beginning, I'm adding about 20, 30, 40 counters. It depends on the situation. So processor time, it's the actual system processor time. And here I'm choosing all instances. Why not just total? Why all instances? It will put total as well as all the cores themselves. It's important. Overall CPU time can be at 50%, 20%, which is completely fine. But if you will check the picture by cores, you can see that about 20 or 30% cores are loaded to 100% and others are free. And that's important. Maybe in future, if the queries we should see will be more queries like that, they can handle, they can took all 100% of CPU. Okay, if we're talking about CPU, it's also important to add, where is this system processor queue length. And in SQL Server, it's good to check how many queries are running right now. how many compilations and recompilations are happening per second. And also to track correlation between the load and the amount of users, we need to add user connections here. So that's very minimal performance counter set, and let's run it. I'm starting performance counters. I'm starting my extended event session again. It's already running. And now I'm ready to run workload. I will run the same one. It will take about 20-30 seconds. Let me switch to the questions. Okay, I see no questions. So let's wait for the workload to finish. While it's running, I will go to the default storage of performance counters. It's over here, C, perflogs, and here is our file. When the workload will finish, we will open the file and check what we have collected. Okay, I'm just checking the questions. That's fine. Let's open the data collector. I will stop the collection and I will stop extended event session as well. Stop. And let's see. I will hide all these counters and we will load them one by one. First of all, let's check processor total load. It's over here. It's up to 150%. Yes, this is the maximum at this point. Now, let's check if processor load correlated with user connections. Not very much. So it means that some queries are heavy or users generate too many queries. Let's see if it's correlated with batch requests per second. Looks like it's not, but we will check that later. Compilations and recompilations? No. So that means processor queue length is going up over here. And probably this means that not small amount of queries are giving us this load, but not big amount of small queries giving us this load, but small amount of heavy queries giving us this load. Let's check the load by core. Processor 0. You see? What is this? Oh, it's different scale. Never mind. You see? Scale is 10 and others scale is R1. So we just, with this one, you see, 100% load for pretty big amount of time. Okay. Another one. Another one. So if this load, let me zoom it a bit. If this load, which we see over here, caused by a single query, it means that 2, 3, 4, 5 queries like this can put SQL Server down. And we need to troubleshoot this. Right now, it's not a problem because it's not much queries like this is running at the moment, but this is the thing we need to check. Let's check when the load is going down. It's 5:20:27. Yes, over here. And since we are monitoring event completed, we need to check the finish of this spike. 5:20:27. Let's see. 5:20:27. Okay. Duration of this query is 26 seconds. if it finished at 7:20:33, it should start about 7:20:07. 7:27. So let's go to our graph again. And this is mostly the time when it started, when the load was started. Yes. So that was pretty quick. And right now we are almost sure that this query is the root cause of this CPU spike. It's a single query, but if there will be several queries like this running, we will have big problems. Let's check what we can do with it. And here I will show pretty interesting and very simple technique how we can optimize the query. Let's run it and check the query plan. It's Stack Overflow database again. "26 seconds. That's pretty much. Okay, it finished. This is the execution plan. It suggests us some indexes with possible impact of 20%. Every number which you see here is based on costs. It's not based on real execution. So everything needs to be checked. Everything needs to be checked. Query plan is pretty big, pretty complex, and of course we can go inside. We can track how data flows, where are the most heavy parts of this query plan, and go from here. But this is actually my approach, which I love to use and which I usually use. But long time ago, when I do performance optimization, I found that my colleague has finding the issues several times quicker than me. I started with query plan analysis, with all kind of stuff. I was very curious and I asked how you do this. And he showed me this. So he showed me, hey, so this is what I'm doing. I'm taking just some part of the query out and check if it will become faster. Yes, let's try to do this. I will comment half of the query, predicates, joins, and so on. The query is, well, it's not faster at all. 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7. Well, it's faster. Right now it's 8 seconds. Yes. And also you see the duration is 8 seconds, but CPU time is 2 seconds. So this query was waiting for something. And right now, since 2016, we can check in the execution plan what this query is waiting for, because we have these wait stats. Let me expand all this. And you see that wait time, almost 6 seconds, is page large shared. What does it mean? When SQL Server read data, it needs to put data from disk to memory if the data is not in memory right now. And for doing this, SQL Server put the query into the suspended queue and load data to the disk. When the data is in memory, query got to the execution again and continue its execution. So that means that second run should be much faster for me because there is a big chance that data is in memory right now. Let's try this. And you see second run is 1 second. That's pretty fast. That was pretty fast. And now let's find, with binary search, let's try to find where is the slowest part. Let me comment out, let's say, these 4 predicates. Okay, my query is not executing for 1 second. Probably these predicates are not, I will not wait for 20 seconds. These predicates are not changing the picture. Let's take out others. Yes, our key to the root cause of this query slowness is here. Let's find it. Okay. It's not 1 second again. So the issue is over here, order by new ID. Oops. So this query is returning a bunch of questions, a bunch of answers and the question statistics. It looks like some kind of reporting. And order by new ID is the way in SQL Server how to randomize results. It will return random 100 results. Probably the source, it's time at this point, it's time to talk with the developers where this query is used, why we use order by new ID. Because if it's unavoidable, if it should be only like this, we need to find other ways to optimization. But if it can be changed, maybe we don't need this. That can be a solution. And at this point of time, it's important to not limit yourself by any optimization tips. It's time to bring your creativity here, to think about what this query is doing, or why it's written this way, why we use new ID, what can be the alternative to this order by new ID. When we will check the query plan, we will see that SQL Server is taking data from table posts, creation date. What if we will show top 100 not random results, but top 100 latest results? Will it change something? Because maybe if it just reporting dashboard which showing top 100 answers, maybe it makes sense to show top 100 latest answers. And since we're taking data first from the index by creation date, it might be pretty easy to add order by creation date. Yes, let's try this. Order by question, creation date, and desk. We will show the latest answers first. And what you can guess, it's taking pretty fast, 2 seconds. Let me run it twice. 2 seconds. Well, it's a bit longer than 1 second without any ordering, but it will give you new results when data will be added to the table, and this might be a good alternative. So my point here is to combine all the methods you use, all the tools you know, and bring here your creativity. Try to expand the query, check what you can do, and there might be a lot of things which you can do with the query to make it faster and better. And now it's time to talk with application or report developers to check if this is a good change, if we can do this optimization. Okay. And of course, most important point in this demo is using performance counters and extended events to collect data about your system performance on a daily basis or during some significant time period when you do the performance tuning and troubleshooting. Okay, now we go into the tricky issue, and it will be like this. So I have some artificial database test, and this case is real. It was happened after upgrading to SQL Server 2019. So there is a function generate series in the database test. Let me show you it. It looks like this. It's just crossing data to return some series of. Okay, and then with CTE, I'm selecting some data from this function. Not this function, I'm selecting data from this function into the table. And then with the CTE, I'm getting data from this table, joining it to user CTE, but as a result, I will have some series of numbers. Let me run this query. There is a name validation. Let me drop it. Table name. Okay, and now I see something very special and very interesting. System assertion check has failed. Check SQL Server error log for details. So this query will not execute. It will always give you this error. Drop it again. Yes. That's interesting. So, what we can do with this? We can go like it was suggested in the message to the error log. Spend some time there, but in my experience on troubleshooting this case, I did not find any. I did not find the useful things here, but here dump is pretty important. Mini dump, it can be checked with debugger. And also some system information can be found in the extended event session, which is enabled by default, and it's called system health over here. So the time when the error message failed, it was 17:35:40. Let me find the events at this time. 17:35 is not here yet. Okay. So it should be this. Over here, our query. Yes. And it has some call stack. What can we do with this call stack? There is a tool, open source tool, which developed by Microsoft PFE engineer, Premier Field engineer, and it allows us to decode these traces. And it can give us some important information to check. Usually in this case, the general recommendation and what I recommend to call Microsoft support, create a ticket, but you know that it's taking some time to talk with support back and forth while you will fix the issue. This tool can give us one more point of view on the internal issues which could happen. First of all, you need to load public symbols for SQL Server. Right now, I loaded them into my folder, but you can check your SQL Server version and load them. It will take about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Second one, based on your SQL Server version, you need to put information over here. It was already written because I copied it from the Management Studio, but by default, when you click this button, there is an instruction on the screen how you can get this information and how you can bring it here. So, and after all, when all this done, I can copy my call stack trace in the left side pane and click Resolve Call Stacks. And now I can see the internal function calls from these addresses. I can see internal modules and internal calls. So, and here we can try to find the root cause of the issue. Okay. Honestly, I don't remember how, but right now I don't see, or maybe I've forgotten something. But when I troubleshooted this issue on the server, so I saw that, well, it's not on the server, but I had my previous laptop. Maybe version of SQL Server will be different, but I clearly saw that it was related to the batch mode. So right now, SQL Server in 2019 can execute the query in batch mode and row mode, and it doesn't require you to have column store indexes there. And based on this analysis, I found that issue is happening because in the batch mode, and I tried to switch it to the row mode. With DM exact valid use hints, you can see the hints, additional hints, which you can use in SQL Server, starting from 2016. And it has a good hint called disable batch mode. So if I put this hint to the query, you see, issue is gone. Series is generated pretty quickly, and no assert error we see. So what all this means? And by the way, in the demo script, at this demo file, you can find the link to that SQL call stack resolver tool, which I showed. Okay. So my main point for tricky issues is that, of course, this kind of error assert and mini dump in the error log, it's the valid case for Microsoft support ticket. You can create that case and start communication with Microsoft. But also you can try to find something yourself. Maybe you will find some internal information with SQL dump. Maybe you will find some internal information with system health event session. Maybe you will find other ways how to get that info, what that assertion means. Sometimes you can find the description in the internet. I didn't find for this case, but you can find a lot. And it's pretty important and pretty interesting to not just give this issue to Microsoft and forget about it, but to spend some time and try to get some more information, get into the root cause, and maybe fix it pretty quickly in comparison with the support process. Okay. And that's all for my session. Today we checked 4 cases. First one, when issue is reproducible, and it's easiest case when we can find it with DMVs, sysdm exec request, and find the query which is slowing down your system very quickly. Second case, issue is sporadic. In this case, we need to track query data for some time. I recommend extended events here. Third case, no issue at all, or proactive performance tuning and troubleshooting. When you don't have issues right now, but you want to do performance tuning, you can check the system resources with performance counters and SQL Server internal information with performance counters, as well as query data with extended events. And the last case is tricky issue when you usually, and I recommend to contact Microsoft support about, but also I recommend to trying to collect more information, to dig into this problem a bit, to find some interesting solution and pretty quick solution to the issue. Okay, that's all from me. I would like to thank you, Microsoft, for supporting this conference, and this is great support. Thank you all for attending this webinar.
Yeah,
Probably
thank you,
this is
Denis.
more related to the conference, 3 ways to win prizes. I'm not sure if it's related to
Yeah.
webinar. And here are some my contact information on the screen. If you have questions and we have some time, Satya, I'm ready to answer them. Thank you.
Sure. So, friends, so if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A panel to ask the questions. And I'm just giving a feedback link in the chat window. The feedback link is up there. I request all of you to go down and put your comments there. So we really appreciate that, because speakers really like to know how the session went. So the link is available in the chat window, the LinkedIn link. Please go ahead and put your comments. And if you have any questions, you can use Q&A panel to ask your questions. And while people asking their questions, I request Denis to talk a little more about what he is going to cover in his 8-hour training class in this September, apart from what we have seen today.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So my pre-con will be divided into 2 parts. First one will be concentrated on SQL internals, how SQL Server is processing the queries. It's like I have a session on DP Data Platform Summit about SQL Server query life cycle. It's 1 hour session. In the pre-con, it will be 4 hours spent on this topic. We will cover more cases with storage engine, with query processor. We would look at different aspects of SQL OS. And this will be the basics on which we will base the performance tuning in the second part. And second part will be based on the tools which you saw today. Extended events, we will heavily use performance counters data. We will check the query store, which we didn't cover in this presentation, and so on. So that will be all about using different tools for checking the queries performance. It was like running single trace and 4 hours analysis of the trace and the performance counters collected. It will be built like this. And also in the pre-con, I will add more performance counters and will explain why we need them and what information can they give us to us. That's how I plan to do it.
Thank you, Denis. That's wonderful. So again, I request all the attendees to put up your comments. The link is available in the chat window. And I just repeat once again that there is a special discount code called 60 Steal It. I'm just giving that again in the chat window. So if you use the discount code, you'll get 60% off on any training class, any pre-con from Data Platform Summit 2022. So this code is available in the chat, friends. And to learn more about Data Platform Virtual Summit, here is the link in the chat window for all of you. You can just click on that link and know more about Data Platform Virtual Summit. One quick reminder, friends, as I told you earlier, as in the beginning introduction, Data Platform Virtual Summit, the regular conference, which is happening from September 19 to September 23rd, is free for everyone. So just inform all your colleagues, friends, etc., so that they can go ahead and register. There is close to 200 sessions, including sessions from Microsoft product team members and MVPs, MCMs, and industry experts. So you are not, I suggest you not to miss it. So please go ahead and register and suggest your friends. So with this, friends, we are done for today. If you do not have any questions, then we will close the session for today. So we're just waiting for quick 10 seconds just to see any questions coming in. And then we are done for today almost. And meanwhile, I request all of you again just to give the feedback. Fine, Denis. Looks like there are no more questions, I think. So there are a few questions early on, and then now people are like understanding everything what you have discussed. So we are done for today. Thank you. Thank you for spending time from your busy schedule with Data Platform Geeks audience. Thank you very much, Denis. See you soon in September.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.